Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on Juneteenth. It marks the day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and ensure that all enslaved people be freed. The troops arrived 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. My first guest is Weddle. He's well known in the Milwaukee community and spent 42 years at Northcott Neighborhood House, 19 of those as the executive director. He also served as the president of Milwaukee's Juneteenth celebration, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary. How are you, Mac?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing very well. It's always good to see you. And for more than 40 years, you were the driving force behind Milwaukee's Juneteenth celebration. So talk about what this 50th anniversary means to you.
It means a lot. Really never thought about it. It was something that we needed to do, something that was really important, for our community. And then to look back, at 42 years at Northcott, I've been a part of Juneteenth for over 45 years. Wow. I did my field placement here at Northcott before I started working at Northcott. And that's how I got involved in Juneteenth Day. So it's really significant. It's so important that, we bring our community together. We need so much healing. And I think that this year's Juneteenth is going to help bring a lot of that together.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And right behind you, there's a backdrop that specifically says 50th anniversary honorees. So needless to say, there are a long list of people who have worked together over the years to help get us to where we are today. And you just recently honored individuals who played a vital role in getting us to this 50th anniversary. So you, Adrian Griffin, Adeline Pressey, Lamar Franklin, Margaret Henningsen, Reuben Harpool, Claiborne Benson, the late Harry Kemp, Yvonne Kemp, County Executive David Crowley, Tyrone Dumas, Latanya Lucas, Congresswoman Gwen Moore, and members of the Coggs family, which includes Spencer Coggs, Alderwoman Malele Coggs, and then the late Marcia and Isaac Coggs. And that's just naming a few. And it's just an example of how special this entire celebration of culture and history has been to the Milwaukee community.
Yes, it's really important that we honor these people that set the tone for us being able to do 50 years of Juneteenth work.
Yes, indeed. So even at this point, there have been a lot of firsts. In 2010, former Governor Jim Doyle, he signed a bill making Juneteenth a state holiday. Last year, Governor Tony Evers had the Juneteenth flag raised above the Capitol. That was the first time it flew over Milwaukee's State House, and then the Wisconsin State House, I should say, and then Milwaukee's Zeitler Municipal Building had the flag fly there here in the city. So that's just really an example of how this really has come to be a respected time for all people who live here in Milwaukee, and not to mention Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. He ordered the flag be raised at the Milwaukee County Courthouse, and it has become a floating holiday for county employees. So really talk a little bit about those significant moments.
It's really important, that we do get recognized for all the hard work and the effort that went into, bringing about this celebration. It's important that we do Juneteenth Day. It brings about fellowship and friendship and kinship, sisterhood and brotherhood. And it is a time for us to come together and for people to recognize it. One of the things we're now working on, Juneteenth is a state holiday, but it's not a national holiday. Mm-hmm. And we feel that it needs to be a national holiday. And so we're working on that. And at some point in time, it's going to happen. And I just have to mention Dr. Myers, who was out of Mississippi, that really traveled all over the United States, getting legislation for about 32, 35 different states to have a state holiday such as Juneteenth Day.
Yeah, and when you talk about it being a national holiday, it really is right along the same lines as the U.S.'s Independence Day. When you talk about slavery and that coming to an end, that shouldn't just be important to African Americans, but to everyone who lives here in our country, because we've come a long way from there, but of course we've got a long way to go, right?
I totally agree with you. It is so important that we do come together and that we do let people know the history of American Black people. We've helped build this country. We're continuing to help build this country. So it's important, that we continue to stay focused on what's of value to us as American people.
Yes, sir. And as we approach Milwaukee's 50th anniversary celebration of Juneteenth, what are your hopes for our city and our country moving forward when it comes to the freedom of African Americans?
My hope is that this is a time of healing. This is a time that we as a people will come together. We'll stop and we'll listen to each other. We'll talk to each other. We'll help each other. We'll build each other up. We'll better our communities. And I think this Juneteenth is going to be a big focus on let's stop all this violence in our communities. Every time we look around, there's something happening where we should be helping one another. And I'm looking for us to have a big turnaround coming this 50th anniversary.
Yes, it is definitely something to celebrate, and we could not have this conversation without including you. So thank you so much for your time and for all that you've done for our great city.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Mac Weddle is the former executive director of Northcott Neighborhood House. He retired in 2019, but continues to be a staple amongst the community. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll continue our conversation about Juneteenth. We'll meet the new executive director of Northcott, as well as the director of operations and Juneteenth right after this.